Hi everybody, my name's Christian Wade. I'm very happy to be participating in SQL Bits this year. We hope to be there in person next year, and please hang around at the end for the live Q&A session. We'd be happy to take any questions that you may have. I'm a group program manager for semantic modeling in Power BI.
As an agenda, we will cover 4 cases when we see some hints, something interesting on the database and database server level, which can give us an idea that something is wrong with the application but not with the database. Okay, and the first case called paging. For this demo, I've created a simple console application which has several examples. In the first case, I will call method getUsers, which will return us 20 users. I'm sending here several parameters: page number, items count on this page, and connection string. So the purpose of this method is to return 20 users for each page. Like Google makes paging on its page, you see first 10 results, the next 10 results, and so on and so on. And here for my data set, I also want to get results page by page. And then I will use another approach to get the same 20 records. Okay. On the database level, we will use database Twitter, which has 2 tables: users who use Twitter and statuses, the statuses they posted to Twitter. Okay. To track the query's execution, I have extended event session all queries. Let me start it now. And I will watch live data. Okay. Now let's check what can be wrong with the application. I'm starting my application now. And I'm choosing first option, paging. Let me start the second query as well. And now I'm going to database and checking the results. So this is my first query. Huge duration. What is this? 1.7 seconds. And second query is much smaller. Let me show you one more column here. Row count. Both queries, as you can see, give us 20 records. But on the database level, I see a bit different situation. So, second query really returns 20 rows, but first one returns 75,000 rows, which doesn't seem correct. To display 20 rows, we return the whole result set. So, this is the first query. Select stuff from users order by ID. And this is the second query, which looks a bit uglier, but it has the following condition: offset 0 rows, fetch next 20 rows only. And this condition prevents SQL Server from returning the whole result set. So, looking at this data, and particularly at the first query, which is returning a lot of rows, we can suppose that there are some application issues and the method which fetch data from database is not very efficient if we need just 20 rows. So here I'm using Dapper and I'm executing query select stuff from users order by ID. Then on this result set I called skip. Based on the parameters page and items count I received, and then I take 20 rows, next 20 rows. So, but in this case, this construction already returned, fetched all rows in the database, and I'm filtering out the rest on the application level, which is not efficient, like you saw. Second method used entity framework. So I'm using this expression, users order by skip take, and then I call toList at the end. So this expression translated into SQL very efficiently. And this skip and take done on the SQL Server level, on database level, but not on application. And this gives us much better execution time and much better, it's much more efficient. Okay, so what we are looking for on database level, if we see the query is returning big amount of rows and it's not analytical query, maybe this is the point to check application and check if we really need that rows, to return all that rows to the application. Maybe you will find something interesting like in this case and it can make your query more efficient. Okay, second case, actually two cases. 2 and 3, they will be related to sessions. Let me clear data over here. And I'm going back to my application. So this time I will choose option 2. I will choose option 2. And in option 2, I'm calling method getRandomUsers 10,000 times. In the code, I will get one random user from the users table. And what's important here, I'm opening connection, but I'm not explicitly closing it. On the database level, we will see the following picture. Here are the requests, the queries which are actually executing right now on the server level. You see that there are not a lot of queries, only one query is executing from my application at a time. But when I will check sessions, I'm filtering out system sessions here and system requests, you will see that I have already 271 sessions, and this number is growing. Right now is 285, 297, and it keeps growing. What is the problem here? When you see the following situation, when the amount of sessions is much bigger than the amount of requests, that means several possible issues. First one is memory consumption on the application level. This sleeping session will not consume any resource on SQL Server level, but it will take memory in the application connection pool. So this is my application, what database can show. And you see that memory is growing. Memory consumption is growing. 36.8 megabytes, 36.9 megabytes, 37 megabytes, and so on and so on. So each session consumes some memory on the application level, which can bring some problems to your application. This is the first case when it can hit you. Yes. And what we can do to fix such kind of issues. We can use another and this is recommended approach for .NET. For other languages also, there is a good practice to open and close connection as quickly as possible, but this construction, when I declare connection in using block, means that after quitting out from this block, application will call dispose method on the object we declare in the using. It's like internal try finally, when in finally we call dispose. For connection, dispose will close this connection. And in this case, the amount of session, as you can guess, will not grow. This is the amount of requests and the amount of sessions. It will be still small, because connection will be closed soon. And if we will check the task manager for our application, memory consumption will not grow like it was in previous example. So you see it's still stable, 14.2 megabytes. Okay. But that's not all I wanted you to show about this sleeping session. The first sign, the first signal which sleeping sessions give to you is that there can be some problems with memory on application level, but there is also very big problem can happen if we will use okay, let me show you this. It will be better to show once than to talk about this. I'm starting some session, some database query, and then I'm going to select star from users. I want to get data from users table. I want to select all users. And this table is not too big to give me query execution of 10 seconds or even more. So something is wrong with my query. Of course, I will go to the DMVs and will check what's going on. Let me check the requests. So this is my session, number 62, where I'm trying to select users. And I see session 66, I apologize. I see that it's not executing, it's in the suspended state, and it's blocked by session 53. At the same time, I don't see any requests executing right now from session 53. So, that can mean only one thing. The session still exists, and this session is in sleeping state. So, when I'm checking sessions, you see there is session 53, it's in sleeping state. What can I do with this session? Of course I can kill it, but before killing it, I would like to check more, to get more information about it. I can check the logs. I'm checking Tran logs, and here you see that session 53 is holding several logs, exclusive logs on some pages, and exclusive log on some keys. So these actually prevent my session 66 to select users because it waits for putting shared log on the blocked row. What else I can do here? CSDM exec connections have most recent SQL handle, and I can get the query which was executed, the last executed query in the blocked session. So if I will find session 53, you see, I can find that there is update statement, which is actually blocking my session 66. Now I collected all information I can. Let me kill session 53. and my select stuff from user finish just in few seconds. Okay, so about sleeping session, if you see that you have a lot of sessions but small amount of requests, that means that your sessions are sleeping, and that is not good by several reasons. First reason, application memory consumption, and second reason, that sleeping sessions can hold logs, which will block your application queries. And this is the problem which you should take care and check your application how to avoid that situations. Okay, and the last example, transaction. Let me start this example. There are several queries, and let me restart this. I want to clear data and want to collect just data from this demo. Let me start demo, transactions demo. I have several queries, and I would like to save these queries in the database table. I will export, I will stop the session, and now I will export all the data which you see on the screen to the table. I have a special database on my SQL Server for this. I usually call it trace or profiler or something like that, and that will be SQL bits trace table. Okay. Now I can slice and dice that table to find the inconsistencies, the issues, and I do the following. SB trace, I'm grouping by data by transaction ID, and I'm getting the total execution count, CPU consumption, duration, and also the difference between first query start and last query finish. It's more or less like that. But these two columns are very important. First one shows the total duration of all queries in this transaction. Second one shows the whole duration of the transaction. And you see here, all queries in the transaction are taking 8 seconds. The whole transaction taking 8 seconds, but the total query duration in that transaction taking 170 milliseconds, which means that the main time this transaction spent on the application level, but not on database level. And if you see pictures like this, you should go to the application and check what's wrong with it. So, in my example, this is the transaction example, you see that I have several queries execution and some business logic executed between them. So this is the main time consumer, and this is the main performance issue for this transaction. And if you see something like this, there is no reason to optimize the queries on database level, but there is a big reason to go to application and optimize business logic to decrease the size of this transaction. Okay. That's all. That's all for me today. Today we checked 4 cases when database can give us a hint to troubleshoot your application. Thank you very much for attending my session. It was a pleasure to speak on SQL Bits, and I would like to add a few words about Ukraine. You know, there is a pretty heavy situation in Ukraine, and in these days, I would like to ask every people in Ukraine and outside of Ukraine to keep yourself and your family safe, be kind, and pray for Ukraine. Thank you.
Hi Dennis, it's Chris. You're now back live. I don't know if you can hear the round of applause there, but some fantastic words at the end. Is there any questions in the audience? I don't think you guys can, so I'll try and speak up. I think only Dennis can hear me through this.
Yeah, I can hear. Hi, everyone. Hey, Chris.
So, is there any questions from the audience? No, we did have a virtual one, Dennis. The scripts and the application that you used in the session there, are they going to be made available anywhere?
Yeah, I can put it online. It's already in OneDrive. I will share the link in Twitter
On Twitter,
with
yeah,
with with
fantastic.
tag SQL Bits. You can find it under the hashtag.
Awesome, excellent. No other questions from the audience? I don't know if I'm coming across live in the room now. Yes, it sounds like I am. No other questions, I don't think, Dennis. Well, thank you very much for that. We really do appreciate it, and stay safe. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.